So, this is episode 9 of 7 Questions with Summit Quest. Today, we have the pleasure of speaking with Miss Laura Getchell. Laura, I met you, I don't know if you remember this, at a Summit Quest fundraiser that Nancy Ely somehow talked you and your husband into coming out in the Georgia summer heat and spending all day outside working a flag football tournament.
Nancy's my girl.
Nancy,
I'd do anything for that girl.
well, and that's a good statement because Nancy has the gift of convincing a lot of people to get on board with whatever she's focused on. And she is an amazing board member for Summit Quest, so definitely appreciate her. And thank you for coming out today to share a little bit about, your story. So our first question is, Laura, will you please share a little bit about yourself?
Well, my name is Laura Getchell. I'm 48 years old, and I'm a speech therapist at Garden Lakes Elementary School. And I work full-time there, and I don't know, I'm kind of boring.
You're not bored. So tell me a little bit about your hobbies. Like, what do you do outside of work?
Well, I also have a hobby job.
Okay.
So I have a part-time job at CrossFit Rome, and I also work out there. Probably can't tell, doesn't look like I'm a CrossFitter, but it keeps me moving, and I'm there most of the time. I have 2 kids. I have a son who's at UGA and a daughter who will be heading there soon. She's a senior at Model this year. And then my husband, Glenn, he works at Berry. Everybody knows Glenn. We always joke and say he's the favorite Getchell. So everybody knows him.
Everybody knows Glenn. Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, so our second question is going to be, can you share a little bit about your cancer journey and maybe like what the treatment plan is that you're on right now?
Okay, so I guess I have to go back and tell how it all went down. So in mid-August, I had a CT scan. Just kind of had started having some weird little symptoms. It's funny, I look back in my journal now and I saw something I think in May, and I had just written weird things on my left side, and that's all I wrote. And I remember when everything shut down in March for COVID, and I was at home working. I was doing speech therapy with a computer, and I remember that I felt like I had spiders or something on me. I kept looking, I'm like, what is that? Like a spider web or something. And didn't really think anything about it. And then things kind of got a little bit weird, but nothing that really was a red flag for me. When I would fold laundry, I was doing, I couldn't get the towels to come together, like it on one side. And then they just wouldn't match up. And I would fold T-shirts and they wouldn't match up, and so it's just kind of weird stuff, but nothing that I thought anything about. And then I was putting my shirt on backwards, and I remember telling Glenn, I'm like, this is so weird. Why do I keep putting my shirt on backwards? And I was just kind of laughing it off, and it was red flags for him. Sure. And so I remember
now, during this time too, I know you said it's during COVID. Were you still being able to do CrossFit and participate in that?
Oh,
or was
yeah.
that shut down too? Okay, no,
well,
so you're still doing that or limited a little bit?
It was limited. This started happening when I noticed that like the spider webs kind of in like March, April, and then so this is fast forward to probably June and July.
Gotcha.
When I started noticing that there was something definitely going on. So I remember being in the gym one day. I had my phone. I just worked out and it was fine. Well, I say that I had to do overhead squats, and I stink at them anyway, and they weren't great. And but I'm not good at them anyway. So, but I did good on the rest of the stuff. I was doing box jumps, and it was good. But I remember having my phone under my arm, under my left arm, and I dropped it. Like it just fell out. And one of my friends was sitting there, and she's like, "What's up with you? You just dropped your phone for no reason." And I'm like, people drop stuff all the time. Still didn't think anything about it. And then Glenn ended up saying, I think we need to get checked out. And so we have a friend who's a doctor, and he called him and he said, what do you think about this? And he said, yeah, I think we need to be seen. She needs to get something done. And so I went and had a CT scan, and it was at 5 o'clock in the afternoon. And they came out, well, after I got done, they said, have you ever had a scan of your head before? And I'm like, no. That should have been a red flag there, but I didn't think anything about it. And then they said, well, go back out there and sit and wait on us, and wait until you talk to the doctor, and then, but don't leave until then. Still didn't think anything about it. And then they came and got me, and they said, Miss Getchell, you need to come to this dark room with us. And I was like, wait, what's in a dark room? And it was just, I didn't know what to expect. And I went in there, and they told me that they said the radiologist has seen something on your scan, and they feel like you need to go to the emergency room. And so they said, which hospital do you want to go to? And I'm like, I don't know. What the heck did you say? I don't know. Where am I going? I don't know. And so I called my friend who's the doctor, and I said, they said they've seen something. Where do I need to go? And so he said, let me find out. Let me talk to the radiologist. And he called me back, and he said, yeah, we've got some things we need to deal with. I still don't know really what that is. I mean, he said they've seen a mass in your parietal lobe, so over here, and so we have some things to deal with. So I went to the hospital, and I mean, it was like a whirlwind after that. And they admitted me, started doing all kinds of tests, had an MRI. They did scans to make sure that there were no other places anywhere else. So it was just in my brain. And
but you show up for what you think will just be a couple hour
Yeah.
scans, kind of figure out what's going on.
Yeah.
To
We thought that I had, because when I get stressed, I carry all my stress in this little knot on my
Sure,
shoulder. So we
sure.
thought it's neck stuff.
you
and
pinched a nerve, you've
Yes,
done whatever,
exactly.
and now they're saying we got to take you to the
Yeah,
to the emergency room
room.
now.
Yes.
Wow.
And I get there, and then, I mean, the doctor who was there working, I mean, he was very, very kind and sweet, but wanted to say a prayer with me, and I'm like, okay, this is not good.
Right.
And then immediately there is a neurosurgeon in my room. And I'm like, I have things to do. My son's moving to college to his first apartment this weekend. I need to help him. And so I kind of sweet talked him into letting me go do that. But that was on a Thursday that I got admitted to the hospital. I did leave on Friday. And then on Wednesday, I was having brain surgery to remove the tumor.
Wow.
And so that was supposed to be a 3-hour surgery. Ended up being 7 hours. And so, let's see. So that was Wednesday. And then after that was just, I had to go see the oncologist. I had to go meet with the radiologist. I mean, it was just so fast. Meeting with everybody. I had to go see a specialist at UAB. Okay, wait, let me go back. So on Wednesday, I had my surgery, and then the next Tuesday, I got the diagnosis. All right, so I get the diagnosis, and then the prognosis for this is not good at all, and I don't say the numbers that they told me. I don't like talking about that because I feel like the numbers have too much control.
Sure.
I don't want to be limited to those numbers, so I don't talk about them. So, but it's not great, and so I have to take 30 days, I think, to let my brain heal, and then I was going to start my treatments. So the treatment started in September, and so I did 33 days of radiation, and then I did, that whole time I was doing chemo too. and that was just, it's an oral chemo that I take. And so I did that, and then once that was over, I got a month off, and then I had to start in November, I think, maybe December I started. So I had to start getting, taking chemo again, and this nice little thing that I have right here that I don't know if the cameras have gotten it, and you're probably wondering what the heck it is and why I have a toboggan on. It's called Optune, and so I have to wear it for 6 months. And what it is, I have these little, they're like these big Band-Aids. I have 4 of them, and they have little magnets on them. And they are supposed to somehow, and if there's doctors watching this, I'm so sorry because I don't really know how it works, but somehow, like, these magnets are supposed to work off of these magnets, and then these go against these, and they're supposed to confuse the cancer cells.
Okay.
And so
And so that's 24/7?
I have to wear it at least 17 hours a day. And so it's supposed to confuse the cancer cells so that they won't duplicate or replicate or whatever. So back to my surgery, they got, I think they call it a total gross resection. So I think it was maybe 98, at least 98%. They got everything they could see, but of course you can't see everything. So that's what the chemo and the radiation were supposed to do, were get those extra, anything that was left in there. And then the Optune works with the chemo as well. And so anything that's left in there then is supposed to, I don't know, just keep them from, I guess, get rid of them or keep them from duplicating
Sure.
or growing. So I have to wear it at least 17 hours a day. I sleep in it. So it's battery powered. These little things go down to this battery pack that I wear in my backpack. It weighs 6 pounds. Everybody always wants to know. They want to know if I sleep in it, and I do. I just, it's fine. The hard part is driving with it. I hate that. My daughter had a wreck last week, and we have a rental car, and so I had to learn how to put it in there, and it just didn't work, and it was sliding, and my head was going all over the place, and so anyway, it's funny. So I had to wear that and do the chemo for six months. So Monday I'll be halfway through.
Halfway through.
Yeah, so now I can start counting down.
Absolutely.
So,
Wow.
yeah, something to look forward to.
That CrossFit mentality. All the
Yeah.
way down now. All right.
Sorry, that was long.
No, it's good. That is amazing, though. Like, I mean, that journey, I mean, you went through a whole lot in just a short amount of time, and how it all started.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So we often get the question asked to us, and a lot of people hear this question, is what can I do for my loved one that is facing a cancer diagnosis? So are there any examples or things that come to your mind, some things that maybe your friends or your family have done that have made you feel the most supported along your journey?
I do feel like Glenn has gotten left out a little bit in this. In the beginning, he was just getting hammered with all kinds of text, and we both were, and our kids were, and people reaching out to us, and then now I feel like people still continue to reach out to me, and I'll tell him, I had 10 texts, when I looked down, and he said, yeah, I don't get those anymore. And it's like, I just want to tell people, don't forget him. Don't forget the other people, because I think if this was happening to somebody else in my family, I would be a mess. Like, I think I can handle it a lot better because it's happening to me. But if it's my kid or my husband, I wouldn't. I don't think I could be strong. I think I'd be a puddle. And but So I think about him, and I think if that was me and I was having to watch him go through this, it would be bad. And he's very positive, and he's so helpful to me. But I know I know there are things I don't see that he doesn't show me. I know it's hard for him. So I would just say, just don't forget the caregivers, because sometimes I think it's harder for them than it is on the person going through it.
Wow, that's an amazing answer. What comes to my mind are simple things, like go mow their yard or bring them a meal or give them a call. But I think you are so correct that cancer impacts not only the person diagnosed, but all of those that are around them. Mm-hmm. And it's so hard to see a loved one face that journey and you not be able to control that or help them.
Yeah.
So such a powerful message of don't forget about the others.
Because it's hard for me to be there for him.
Sure.
Because I feel like I'm just trying to make it through. And if we go through anything, we go through it together. But I feel like I'm not there for him. Like
and he's
I would
just
want
trying
to
be
be
strong for
yeah.
you, so he can't
right.
tell you, "Hey, I'm broken today."
Right.
That's amazing. That is amazing.
But we did have people mow our yard, and
too.
that was great.
Yeah.
And we had to get an extra refrigerator because people were bringing us so much food,
Sure.
and then just people reaching out to my kids and their friends going to be with my son in Athens on the day of my surgery and just sitting there and being with him. That meant the world to me, because I couldn't love on him. I want to love on my baby, but the Lord sent somebody to do it for me. So
just find a way.
Yep.
Find a way and support the whole family.
Yep.
I like that.
Yep.
Okay, so you are an amazing writer, and you share a lot about your journey through the website of Caring Bridge. And a lot of people are getting a lot of encouragement and strength from what you share. So I want to thank you for that. And also, you and your husband, Glenn, shared a post on Facebook a few weeks ago.
He shared it. I didn't share it.
He shared it and then told you he shared it and got into trouble. But the message was so important. It really touched my heart, and I know just reading the comments, it touched a lot of people. But you shared that you had an experience, and through that experience, you knew the words that you shared were, God sees me and God hears me. Can you share a little bit about that?
Yeah, so really since the time that I was diagnosed, I had felt God around me the whole time. Like I was almost jealous that other people weren't getting to experience God the way I was. And I remember thinking I've not once felt forsaken or like he had left me. I mean, I felt God around me so much. And in the beginning, I mean, I would, he was just there. And then it kind of got to where things were slowing down. And I mean, when you're going to doctor appointment after doctor appointment and then radiation, and when you're doing all that, you don't have a lot of time to think. But then when things slow down and you start thinking, it's when all the negative stuff starts creeping in. And I remember I was not having a good day, and I remember just praying. I was like, God, you've got to show me that you're there today. And I think I'd gotten at one time, I don't know, within an hour, I got 6 texts from people, saying, I'm thinking about you and praying for you and just different things. And I was like, okay, God, I thank you. I needed that. I needed to know that you were here. But then I think it was 2 weeks ago, I had just gotten out of the shower, and I was looking in the mirror at my bald head, because that's another thing with this thing. I have to shave my head every couple of days. Like it has to be slick bald so that these things will stick to it. And so I was looking in the mirror, I was looking at myself. I'd had a horrible day, and it was work, something bad had happened at work, and I'm so bad to just spiral. So one thing happens, and then it goes to this, to this, to this, and I was just having a horrible day, and I looked in the mirror, and I was just crying. I was mad, and I was like, do you even see me? Do you see me with my bald head hurting? Do you even see me? And then Glenn had my phone, and for some reason, and he said, you need to see this text. This was a little while later, and he said, look at this. And somebody had texted us that somebody was wanting to do something for our family, huge for our family. And I was like, okay, God, I hear you. I know you see me. And, you know, lots of times I feel God right there with me. I do. But there are times when I do wonder, you know, do you see me? And I'm like, okay, I know that you've given me this story for a reason, and I feel like I have to tell it. I don't like telling it in person like this. I'd rather write and tell it. But I feel like it's his story, and he wants it told. And so I'm going to tell it. So there are days when I say, I don't want to be the one, you know. Pick somebody else. I don't want to be the one to tell the story. Pick somebody else. And, you know, but he always will give me strength to keep telling it or give me another story to tell. So.
Do you journal every night? Or you just sit
Not
down?
every day, but that is part of my therapy. Yeah.
Gotcha. That kind of goes into the next question that we have is, you know, cancer can bring about lots of fear and anxiety, and I wondered if you could share a little bit more about your positive coping mechanism that you utilize during your more trying days. And along with that, what do you see as your greatest obstacle or the greatest obstacle that sometimes cancer patients have to face, families or individuals facing cancer?
For me, like physically, I feel great. Like I really feel great. I feel 100%. But mentally is the biggest challenge. I mean, I have a friend who's dealing with leukemia, and I remember texting her one day, and I was like, how are you doing mentally? And she's like, I'm good. And I was like, how do you do that? And she said, you have to fight for your peace of mind. And I thought, you know, everybody talks about it being a battle. And I think it's always referred to as a physical battle. But mine is more one of a mental battle right now. I mean, it may turn to physical, but right now the mental part of it can be excruciating on some days. As soon as I could go back to work, I did. In the beginning, they put me in a COVID bubble, and so I had to stay at home, and that was bad for me.
Yeah.
And so as soon as I got clearance from the doctor to be able to go back to work, I did. I went back full time. And they were telling me that I couldn't work out, and they said your body needs to heal. You need to use that energy to be able to heal, and you know, not breaking your body down. And so that was hard for me because exercise is very, very important to me. It just makes me feel good.
Sure.
The people I'm around at work, the people I'm around at the gym, all totally, you know, make things better for me. And so as soon as I could do both of those, I did them. And that is what carried me through. It's just to keep going, to have something to get up for every day, and to have things to look forward to, and you know, not just to, I mean, people say all the time, they're like, I don't know how you do it. And I'm like, well, what else would I be doing? I mean, because I feel okay. I know that there's plenty of people that don't, but I mean, when I would be at home, I mean, this is morbid, but I start planning my funeral. I mean, that's what I'm thinking about. I told you I spiral and I go from one thing to the next, but when I'm at home and I don't have much to think about except that, then I go to a bad place.
Right.
And it's hard to get me out of it.
So you just got to keep moving. You got to keep going.
For me, that's
Yeah.
what I have to do. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Wow. The next question would be, what is one word that would sum up your cancer experience to this point?
So I'm a word person. I'm a speech language pathologist. Words just, I don't know, I love them. And so when I first got diagnosed, I had 2 people to reach out to me. So this guy called us, and so he's telling me his story. He told me, I think that they only gave him maybe 3 or 6 months to live. And
he's 18 years out at this point.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And he said that his family was all in the hospital room. They were all crying. And he said, he looked at them. He said, you better dry your tears. He's like, in 5 years, we're going to be celebrating that I'm still alive. And here he is 18 years into it.
18 years.
Yeah.
Now, did you know this gentleman before your diagnosis? Is this someone you met along the journey?
No, after people started hearing about me, a friend reached out to us, and he asked if we would be willing to talk to somebody. He had a family friend who had dealt with the same thing. And I was real hesitant to talk to him because I just didn't really talk to many people because everybody has negative stories, and I just didn't want to hear the negative.
Sure.
And but so I try to, find out ahead of time what their story's going to be before I talk to them.
Right.
And so I talked to him, and so he was telling me his story, and he said that he didn't do the Optune. All he did was he had his tumor removed. They didn't get all of his, maybe 70 or 80% of his, and then he did chemo, and then that was it. Wow. And so
was this a phone call, or did you get to meet this person face to face?
It was a phone call. Yeah, it was FaceTime. So
yeah. Okay.
And I remember he started singing a hymn to me, and I have it written down. I can't remember what it is, but it was just such a blessing to me. It's like God just dropped him into my life, and he is part of what I hold on to. Sure. And so I remember saying, so you're telling me that there's hope, because I keep hearing the words incurable and aggressive. That's the words I hear. But then it's like God, through him, said hope. And so I wrestled with that word since then. I mean, when I'm in bed and I'll think, and I'll ask Glenn, I'm like, I know that hope is very biblical, and I talked to my pastor about it, but I remember saying, I think that I totally believe in miracles. I believe God can do miracles all day long, but I don't know if he has one for Laura Getchell. And so I've struggled with it. And after I told that to Glenn that night, we go to the mailbox, and a neighbor has left a card, and it's got Bible verses about hope written in it. And then somebody brings us dinner, and there's a poster, and it says, hope is our anchor. And it's like hope just keeps coming at me from every direction. And I know it's God's direction. I know he's shooting these little messages at me. And but then, and so this is kind of a cool story too, but so on my Caring Bridge page, one of my friends helped set it up with my husband. And one day I just got on there to read read the comments. And when I got on there, I looked at the picture, which I hate that picture. They should not have chosen that one. But I look at the picture, and it says hope on it. And I'm like, I said, Glenn, did you write this on here? And he's like, no. And I'm like, well, how else did it get on here? And I'm like, so God is definitely trying to tell me that there's hope. Right. And I remember texting my friend and I said, did you put that on there? And she said, yeah. And I had not mentioned it to her at all. And I said, why? Why did you put that on there? And she started explaining it to me, and it was why she had picked that. She said, because I read it, and that's all I could think was hope. And so it's written on my Caring Bridge page on that picture. It's written on there. And so I'm like, okay, God, I hear you. I know you see me. I know you hear me.
I know you see me. I know you hear me.
Yeah.
Well, wow. One word that sums up the cancer experience. Hope.
Yeah.
I mean, that is
an
amazing story. So our last question would be kind of a closeout of our interview. You've almost made it through. If you had one message to give to individuals or families that are facing a similar journey that you're facing, what would that message be?
I think it's just keep living. Like I told you, lots of people say, I couldn't do it. I'm like, well, what would you do? And they're like, oh, I'd be in bed, or I'd be under the covers. I wouldn't come out. And I think about that, and I think, well, if I want to go by what the doctors told me, that I only have X amount of time to live, then maybe I would do that. But what if I'm the guy who's 18 years into this? What am I going to do? Am I going to stay in my bed under my covers for 18 years? And so you don't know. You don't know what God has in store for you. And I have no clue. I mean, it's hard. I don't know. Do I say I had cancer or I have cancer? Is it gone now? I don't know. I mean, my scans that I get are clear, but I don't know. I don't know what to say with it. And so I think I just have to keep living. I keep going to work every day. I mean, I feel like it, and that's where I feel good. That's where I'm myself. I remember when I went to UAB and I talked to that doctor, and he made the comment. He said, "This is not curable by medicine," and that changed my whole perspective. When he put that positive spin on it for me, I'm like, okay. And he said, my job is to make sure that you can be Laura Getchell for as long as you are on this earth, whatever that looks like. And that was a game changer for me. And I'm like, well, what Laura Getchell is a speech therapist. I'm a CrossFitter. I'm a mom. So I'm gonna keep doing those things.
You're gonna be.
So I would say keep living. Just don't lay down and give up.
Wow.
Keep living.
Keep living. Well, awesome. Is there anything else that you feel like you would like to say, or you feel good there?
Do you think I've said enough?
No, never. You feel good?
Yeah.
Okay.
I do.
Well, I want to thank you for being willing to come and share your story. I know it's not easy. I don't know very many people who like to be on camera, but I can tell you that there's a lot of people that you have inspired and that you have encouraged, and that no doubt in my mind that you will continue to do so. So I want to thank you once again for sharing your story, and we'd also like to include a link to your Caring Bridge so that maybe somebody who may see this video who isn't already following can read along with your journey. So
Okay.
thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank
All right.
you.